Hello, my name is Miriam and I love everything about books. In today's video I'm going to explain you how I read multiple books at the same time. Like, not at the same time, but I'm going to explain why it says on my Goodreads that I'm currently reading 5 books. I got quite a few questions about this on Instagram and I thought, well, I'm going to make a video about it so everyone knows how I do this. So the first book I'm currently reading is A Year with C.S. Lewis, and it has 365 daily readings. So every day there's like a piece of one of his books. I got this book a couple of years ago and I tried to stick with it, but it did not work back then. This year it does. So every morning after I read my Bible, I read one page in this book because every piece is one. Because every day there's like one page, and this is actually a book that I highlight things in because I like to see in a couple of years what struck me in this book, and maybe if that's different if I read it again in a few years time. So actually a fun thing, when I got this book I hadn't read as many C.S. Lewis books as I have now. This book made that I wanted to read more C.S. Lewis books. I have not yet read it completely, part of it, but this year I'm planning on reading the entire book. So this is a book that I will keep on reading until the end of the year. After I read my page from the C.S. Lewis book, I read a chapter from a non-fiction book. And the non-fiction book I'm currently reading is a Dutch book with a title that's not translatable. Yeah, I got my e-reader because now I'm reading an ebook, but it can also be a physical non-fiction book. Most non-fiction books I read are actually ebooks because I do not own as many non-fiction books as I'd like. But on the other hand, quite a few non-fiction books are books that I am very interested to read but not very interested to see on my bookshelf. And here's another book that I read like a chapter or something a day. No, not a chapter, a paragraph. It's a Dutch translation of The Institution by John Calvin. I started this last year and I was glad that it was on Goodreads because it's a very big book and it would be great if I can someday finish it on Goodreads. Yeah, every evening before I go to bed I read a paragraph, sometimes 2, of this book, and it actually taught me quite a lot. And to be honest, I started reading this book just because I thought it would be great to be able to say that I read The Institution by John Calvin. I mean, there's somewhere inside me there's a Calvinistic girl that that is like a sort of nerdy Calvinistic girl, I think. That girl wants to be able to say that she finished The Institution by John Calvin. Well, these are the books that are not my main books, that I do read from them every day, but only like a small amount of the book. I have to admit that although I only have to read one chapter of a non-fiction book a day, if there are short chapters I will read more than just one chapter. And sometimes before I go to bed I read another chapter in a non-fiction book. Well, the 4th book I read is usually an audiobook. I'm currently listening to the 3rd book in the Seven Sisters series, and this has taken me a really long time because I did not like it, but I've probably told you all about that in the weekly wrap-up video, so I won't go into too much detail. But when I go on walks I usually listen to an audiobook. Usually the audiobook I listen to is a fiction book, but I prefer reading non-fiction books because then I can take notes. Usually when I'm in the middle of a forest or something like that, I'm not taking notes about the book I'm listening to. So that's why I prefer fiction books, although there are probably some great non-fiction audiobooks I should listen to. Well, and lastly, the book that I usually call my main book is the fiction book I'm reading. At the moment, that's the Dutch translation of Fire and Lions by Mezu Andrews. I don't know how to say her name, I'm sorry. I have that a lot, that I don't know how to say authors' names, I'm sorry. I believe this is the book that changes the most, like, at the moment I'm reading this one, but probably when this video will be up, it is long finished and there's another book in its place. But I still call it my main book, even though the main book changes the most of all the books that I'm reading at the same time. Well, how is that for you? Do you read one book at a time, or can you also read multiple books at the same time? Like, yeah, it feels a bit strange to say at the same time, but you probably get what I mean. So do you read one book or more books? Let me know in a comment. I hope you enjoyed this video. If so, give it a thumbs up. And if you want to see more bookish content made by me, then please consider subscribing to my channel. I upload videos frequently, one on Monday, which is my weekly wrap-up video, and on Thursday it can be anything as long as it's related to books. I hope you have a great day, and as always, happy reading.